All right, hello everyone. This is Mike from Aradani, or Mike from Aradani's Hands. Hello. I'm going to show you today how we paint mask armor. It's a pretty simple process. Some of you should already be getting your mask armor in, so this will show you what to do when you get it. All right, so it's basically 6 easy steps. The first thing that you have to do is you need to prime your mask. Here's one that I've already primed, and we are using in the office Rust-Oleum 2X primer for wood, metal, plastic, and more. The first masks that we sent out, I sent out and didn't prime them in case people wanted to keep them the standard color, the standard dark gray or black resin color. On these latest ones, I realized that it was just better if I went ahead and hit them with primer, because then if you want to paint them black or do whatever color you want, it's already painted and ready to go for you. After I prime them, I let it sit for 1 day, 24 hours. That way it gets nice and dry, and there's no chance of anything not being fully cured. So this one here was painted yesterday, and it is ready to go. This one is going to be, actually I didn't check. Oh, it's supposed to be red. Let me grab the red paint. So we're painting these all with acrylic paints, craft acrylic, not artist acrylic. These tend to be, very opaque and go on easily, and they are not expensive to buy. This is a bright red color. I think it's true red. Some colors, and we might see this with this red, you're going to need to do 2 coats. The certain hues are just less opaque. Now I could have added just a little bit of white to this. White always helps the color become more opaque, and then when I did the second coat of red over top of it, that would help it be very red. I think you can sort of see there, yeah, we got a little bit of streaking. Don't worry about that, that's normal on certain colors. You don't want to go on too thick because you don't want the acrylic paint to glob up. You don't want to lose any of the detail. And I'm also not going super slow here. It's okay if your brush touches a couple of places, gets paint on the teeth, because obviously you're going to be painting those. Now I'm painting the base color on the High Elf mask here, but it looks like the next steps will all be on the Wood Elf, which have a little bit more details than the High Elf mask. Now after I paint this, I'm going back over, trying to pull up any of those thick spots. You don't want to use, well, if you wanted everything just to be one tone, you could use spray paint. Acrylic paint does not go well over spray paint. So if you're going to do spray paint the whole thing red, then you wouldn't really be able to do the teeth unless you built like a stencil, which could be a way to go. It'd be much harder to do a stencil on the Wood Elf. If anyone has any ideas on easy ways to do stencils for spray painting, I'd probably say leave that in the comments. Alright, so there we go. We got base tone of that. I'm going to set it over behind me to dry. So the next step, here is one that has had the base coat. Oh, I didn't cover the brushes. I'm just using a couple different brushes here. I'm using sort of a 3/4 inch flat, probably 1/2 inch flat, and then sort of a large round there. So now we're going to do the detail on this one. The detail coat obviously takes a little bit longer to do than the base coat. We just got some new gold paint in. I ran out yesterday. Haven't even opened it up yet. Careful not to slice my finger open. That'd be just my luck. Slice my finger open on the video. So this, we use the Folk Art brand metallic. I guess also the Anita's. The Anita's is a really nice metal coat, but it streaks more than the Folk Art brand, so we definitely don't want any streaking on this. But once again, we might have to do a couple coats depending on how this goes on. This red here needed to be coated two times to get the nice even coat that we wanted on there. Yep, I can tell already that all this is going on nicely. You're going to need a second coat. Each step of the paint job, get a little bit more careful. Turn off Windows notifications there. All right. So on this one, I'm trying to paint within the lines. Don't pay attention to the abstract masters that say you should never paint within the lines, unless that's the mask you're going for. You know, you're going to have some brush marks that head, you know, outside of the areas, which we will fix in the touch-up phase. But right now, the more careful you are here, the less touch-ups you have to do later on. Because I need to paint towards the camera. So what I do is I'll load up the brush and I'll use the flat edge just to get that detail all the way down there. And we'll basically do that for all of the trim pieces, sort of more decorative pieces. You can also, if you prefer, you can almost just do a dry brush, which is you load up not as much paint and you just sort of brush over the highlights, so you could make it look like it's almost like a brushed gold rather than an inlaid gold piece. It just all depends on how you want to style your mask. And we're going to, once we finish, right now my main focus is painting these masks and getting them out to the people that order them. After this, we're probably going to do some custom masks where we just do some fun stuff, put them up on our Etsy accounts. That way people that want whatever random masks we come up with, we'll find them there. Or maybe we'll put them on our website. I'm not sure. I'm not in charge of the sales channels. I'm in charge of making stuff and coming up with new ideas that drives everyone crazy. Alright, so there you go. There's a start on how we do the detail. I'm not going to run you through the whole length of painting the details because you don't want to sit here for an hour watching me paint. So we'll set this one over here to dry. And we'll grab this one here, which was painted yesterday. You can see this was used with the Anita's paint, which has a nice sheen to it, but there's a lot of gray there. So I'm going to go over top of it with this. Now the High Elf teeth are flat, so you gotta be real careful that you don't want to glob the paint on, but that also means that you might have to do more than 1 or 2 coats to get it where it looks solid. This gold is definitely doing a better job of going on those teeth. So that's all you do, just go in there, touch up those streaks and make it more gold. Once you have got everything to the opacity that you like, you are going to want to go back and touch up any overpainting that you've done. This is one that has the right amount of silver on it, the silver's all a good flat tone, the red's all a good flat tone, but as you can see, there are some overpaints, like right here. Brush came down. Now once we do our wash, it's going to sort of clean up a lot of our messes anyways. That's going to cover mistakes. Anyone that paints miniatures knows how magic washes are, but we're still going to go in. We want these masks to look as cool as possible, so I'm going to go back in with the mahogany color, which is actually Anita's rust red color. Don't need very much. Once again, I'm going to use this flat brush to try to get in to places. I'm going to basically use the fact that it's flat to make easy lines for myself. So just going in here, running it along that bottom. Now these masks, we're all going to pay attention and try to make them as perfect as possible, but all the prototypes we did, they had to get out so quick. I'd paint a whole mask in like 20 minutes. And once they get the washes and the gloss on them, they all just look great no matter what. So if you got a little bit of overpaint, once the wash and the final coat are on, no one's going to be... Okay, I take that back. There's a couple people I know, like when I paint my mother's mask, I'm going to have to pay attention, because if I paint outside the lines, I'll never hear the end of it. There's the reason why Paul and I are meticulous artists, and that's because of our mother. You can even just, you load in the brush with paint, and then you can sort of just dab it down in to the little crevices to create that line between the trim and the base tone. One of the reasons I say the wash is going to, help us solidify some of this is because the wash is formulated to go down into into these crevices, and you know, it basically the highlights, the highs of the mask will stay more true to color, and then the wash will sink down into all the valleys and color it darker, giving you, like, it makes your mask pop. Do the same with miniature painting, just as an easy way of getting in and making those miniatures look more 3D too. When you're painting a fantasy painting, you can't do any of that. You have to paint all the highlights yourself. There is no easy wash you could do that just automatically makes something look 3D. Now, a lot of this trim too doesn't have an exact perfect line. It's like these, it looks like these masks were grown out of a tree. Like they were grown, not manufactured. So, you know, there doesn't have to be exactly perfect lines. But as we can see here, now I've touched up a bit. I think you can sort of see some of the gloss places, but definitely cleaned up the lines and the little bits of overpaint. So once that's done, now we get to head into the messy part, which, I guess I should have been wearing my apron the whole time. This is, I'm actually going to be using my mixture that I use for miniatures, including this very dirty tub that I've been using for a long time. As you can see on the outside, it's going to bring it to sort of a really dark brown color. And to make this, I'll put the formula down below in the comments, but I take acrylic ink. This is Amsterdam Acrylic Ink, Oxide Black, and Burnt Umber. I do about, I think, like 40 drops of the brown and 10 drops of the black. Put some water in, and then I use matte medium, which is what helps it stick to the mask, and Flow Aid, which helps it go down into all the cracks and not just stay floating on top. Alright, so here we have gray and brown mask. Already had the touch-ups done. And do I have any gloves here, or am I just gonna... Ah, there we go. Now this gets a little messy because you're not going to be painting it down in the cracks. You're going to basically be brushing a very wet, it's the consistency of water over the whole mask and letting it soak in. Now what we're going to do after I struggle to get these gloves on is we're also going to, this is, when we paint this on, it's going to flow through to the back, so I'm going to try doing a little bit of course I should have done that before we put on the gloves. We're going to try a little bit of painter's tape on the back to see if that will help stop it from dripping through. Now if it drips through, it's no big deal. It just means that you'll have some streaks on the back. All the prototype masks had them. My personal mask has it. So, but let's just try to make it a little bit cleaner. You can also, after you put the wash in, just come back with a paper towel on the back to clean up anything that has come through. I mean, acrylic paint, this acrylic ink none of that is hazardous to you. So we don't paint the back of them because we don't want, we just figure, if there's any chance of it flaking off, it'd be much rather just to have base resin on the back instead of a paint that could be rubbing against your under mask and flake off. But hey, if you want to paint the back, go for it. I don't see any harm in it at all. Alright, so here we go. We've got all the holes filled up, so that way nothing will flow in the back. Now I'll struggle to put my glove back on. Alright, easier the second time. With this I'm going to use a larger chip brush. Now the wash, it settles very quickly. So I stirred this up like 10 minutes ago and it's already settling. And you want to make sure that, for us, we need all of them to be consistent. So I need to make sure that it's all pre-mixed well. But if you're doing this, you want to make sure there's no chunks of ink and matte medium down the bottom that could change the color when you're painting your mask. But after that, just paint it on just like that, and you can see it. You want to make sure that you get it in all the little crevices, and you can do that by sort of dabbing the paintbrush on there. Now if you paint this on and then let it dry and then you come back and you notice that you missed a spot, super easy. Just get a small brush, do a little touch up. It's not going to notice. No one's going to notice. Now one of the things I like to do is it's a little bubbled up when you put it on there. That normally doesn't cause any issues, and it will settle towards the bottom. And so what I'm doing is I'm sort of dabbing it, letting this brush soak it up, so that way it's not quite as thick. And so it's sort of hard to tell right now, but you get an idea. Get a nice wet coat over all of it. Make sure I didn't get any dirty fingerprints on the back. I'm going to pick this up and set it to dry. I have a fan over here that I'll turn on to get it going, to get it drying quicker. We have a lot of these to get through. And it also will help, it'll help make sure it starts drying, not only quickly, but dry before it runs all down towards the bottom. Now an example, this is a gray mask with gold, and then this is what it looks like after that dries. This has not been, this does not have the final coat of acrylic on it, and sadly I don't think I have one up here that has the final coat, but we will have plenty of pictures of those up on the website. And what we are using for the final coat is Krylon, which we really like this brand of spray paint. It's held up very well over the years for all of our products. But because this is a mask going over your face, we found that using anything that smelled really badly, which is why we're not priming the back of them, it's going to take a while for that to degas, and you're going to smell that for quite a while. This low odor, clear finish provides protection, but it doesn't have any of the smells that's associated with spray paint. So you can spray this over, and within a couple hours, you're not even going to tell that it has this finish on it. And that's going to protect the paint, keep it from getting chipped. In our prototype tests, we have not seen much chipping with the paint. I really abused my high elf mask, going out hiking with it, carrying it on my backpack. Paul did the same thing. So as long as you put this gloss coat on it, do the primer, and use, you know, decent paint, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape. So that is a quick rundown of how you can paint your mask and have it ready to run out and protect your normal mask during this pandemic. So thanks a lot. I hope you found it informative, and if you have any questions, just ask down in the comments and we'll get right to you. All right, thanks, and we'll talk to you later.